So on today's episode of Crazy Love or Nothing, we are going to talk about Love is Blind season 7 that just came out, and it is so good. Okay, so spoiler alert, you know, if you haven't seen it, yeah, I'm going to talk about exactly what has come out already. The next group of episodes comes out on Wednesday. And so right now I'm going to unpack the first 6 episodes that have come out, and it's so good. And actually, I almost like seriously turned it off because I could not stand Leo. Like I'm watching him and I literally turned off the TV and I was like, you know what? I can't with this show. Like, I just can't. Like, what the hell is happening? And then my twin sister calls me like, no, it gets better. So like, I almost threw in the towel. So if you start watching it and you start to hate Leo, because you will, trust me, it gets so much better. It does get so much better. Okay, so let's actually talk about Leo and why I couldn't stand him. There's so many things I could say, but let me just get right to it. Leo was like he just comes off so young and so immature. And it's not even young. I feel bad saying that because there's a lot of young, great people that are not so like ridiculous. And he talks about how he has so much money. I cannot stand, like, you know, it's interesting. You know, I'm all about financial security and for yourself, financial independence, and also finding a match that has their shit together and financially good. But I cannot stand when you have someone bragging and talking so much about money. And I just feel like he's so insecure in himself. You know, and honestly, he's really like unattractive in my, I think he just becomes even worse the more he talks, you know, like, and it's just so bad. And so he talks about his Rolexes and he's showing and he just can't stop talking. And then how he got into that money. He just talks like, my family died, grandmother dead, grandfather dead, mother dead, father dead, cancer. Like literally he says it like that. Like there's no heart, there's no vulnerability. It's very like, and I have all this money and it's just so gross. It is gross. It is so gross. And so when he goes into these rooms and talking about this, it was really crazy to me when Britney, she's like gorgeous, and she says, you know, I don't want to be a boss babe. I just like have this, she just wants to basically, you know, be provided for. And I'm like, oh God, this is just killing me. That's why I almost turned it off. I was like, what's going on here? You know, we're going backwards in this world. And I feel like we should be moving forward, right? Where women don't need a man to provide for them. It's like, give me a freaking break, Britney. So it was kind of like a perfect match. You know, you have this kind of gross guy that talks about money, and this girl is kind of like, you know, very shallow and just wants a guy. And yeah, spoiler alert, you guys, it's they end up together. And when she sees him, you guys, you have to see it. She's like, what did I do? No, because she's so gorgeous and he's just like, no, like she's way out of his league. And it's so cringe, you guys. It's so cringe when he's trying to like hug her and kiss her. I'm like this, like if you're just hearing me on Spotify, but I'm like, ugh, like I'm just like, you know, your shoulders and you're like the ick, you know, you're like, oh, this is so nasty. I'm just like, get off of her, get away from her. I was like, either way, they end up not even going to Mexico to the honeymoon. Yeah, I told you, spoiler alert. Somehow they actually spent time together in Miami. Like, I don't understand. I truly hope that she never had sex with him. Like, I just feel like it would be so gross. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. I don't give a shit. Like, seriously, he's gross because he cannot stop talking about money. The way he doesn't give a shit about his family all dying. The way he says it. I just feel like he lacks massive emotional intelligence, honestly. Anywho, that's, oh no. And something that Leo said, oh my God, you guys, he had 2 girls that he kept talking to. Like, it was Britney and Hannah. Hannah's like, totally, they're so different, honestly. I like Hannah. And so either way, the way that Leo like lost his shit when Hannah didn't pick him and Hannah picked Nick, Leo was such a freaking like he like a temper tantrum. Like you would think like a little kid is like, why would you do? Like, it's just you guys don't understand how bad Leo is. I feel like if you haven't seen Love Is Blind, I want you to see how bad this guy is and like laugh with me because and if you have seen it, you're like, oh my god, Jackie, you're so right because this guy was so cringe, and the way that he asked Hannah, you guys, when he got so mad that Hannah didn't choose him, right? He realizes, oh shit, like his only chance now is with Britney. And so he tells Hannah, if you can go back and tell Britney that it was her all along and this was a mutual breakup. And I'm like, oh my God, you can't. Like when I thought Leo couldn't get worse, like he just kept getting worse. He just kept getting worse. You guys, it was so bad. So like not only is he emotionally immature, he's a liar. He brags about his money. He's so insecure. Like he's so cringe when he like touches this girl. Like it just was a pile on of all the things that you never want in a partner, honestly. And so Britney goes in there after Hannah dumps his ass, and Britney's like crying, yada yada, and actually accepts his proposal. Like this is where, she said, I don't want to be second choice, but she is, and she still says yes. And I'm like, this is seriously what I'm about, you guys, is open your freaking eyes. Stop reacting to whatever comes your way. Be intentional. She walked in there being like, I don't want to be someone's second choice. Bye, right? But no, then he proposes and she says yes. I'm like, what? What? I thought you were being intentional, Britney. What happened? And so like, I feel like this is such a good lesson for you guys to learn. This is why I love Love Is Blind, because you get to see all the things that you hopefully are not doing and things that you can be doing and learning. Okay, so Leo took too much of my time. We can move on. Nick ends up with Hannah, okay? And I don't like Nick. I just don't. And let me tell you why. Nick just seems so immature. You guys, I feel like that's like one of the grossest things to me is like when a guy lacks maturity. It's just like, what are we doing? Why are you on this show? I feel like they should do an exam or like, a study like before to get on the show. You have to answer certain questions, and if you don't have emotional intelligence, it's bye time. Like seriously, like I just don't understand why Nick's on the freaking show. And and Hannah, it seems like she's really trying to be mature, but she has a lot of insecurities, and she was insecure about her weight, and she was like, oh my gosh, what's this guy gonna think of me? And she thought that Nick was like hot shit because Nick was talking like he was like the hottest thing in the world, and he sounded like he had all this swag and all this, and all the women were like, get away from Nick. And of course Hannah says, I'll marry you. Like it's like funny because when you're so young and you're so dumb, I'm like, oh my god, Hannah, run. But no, they end up getting engaged, and when she sees him, she's like, what? Like it's so ironic that she was worried and insecure, like, am I going to be enough for him? And she ends up being kind of like, ew, like, what's up with this guy? Like, he's not at all. Like, you guys, he's not. Like, he's not as gross as Leo, but he's not cute. Like, he's okay, I guess. But it is quite the disappointment to Hannah. And you would think, okay, well, now I'm stuck with this kind of like, okay, decent looking guy. Then he just shows so much immaturity. Like there's this whole thing with the ducks. The ducks, there was like a stupid like plastic duck, and he's like, I want to ride the duck, and that's hot. I'm like, Hannah's like, I'm not doing that. Anna does act a little bit like I'm too cool for school kind of shit. And like, like Will and I, my hubby, if you don't know, you guys need to subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, okay? But like my hubby and I, we're silly as shit. We're like, you find the right person to stay young with. Like honestly, we are so fun and silly. She does act like I'm too cool for that. I'm not gonna do that. Anyway, Nick did something, and I think that you guys should pay attention to it. This other lady ends up talking to Nick and flirting with him, and like, oh, let me play with you and we'll do a race. And this girl Hannah, who's insecure, you could tell, she says, hey Nick, get over here, And the lady says, oh, are you jealous? She's getting jealous. And Nick laughs along. Hannah gets really pissed at Nick for not having her back and going along flirting with this lady. And I agree with Hannah. Like, honestly, I feel like the way that Nick just disregarded, like, oh yeah, laughing along, being flirty, he doesn't give a shit. Like, she's not the priority for him. He's just doing him. Nick is doing Nick, and Nick wants to have fun. Now, is Nick intentionally flirting with this girl and all this? I don't think so. But I just think Nick is an idiot. I think Nick's an idiot. And then when Hannah tries to talk to Nick, Hannah's like, hey, this is how I feel. And she was communicating in such a great way. But like, you can see it in Nick's face and his eyes. He doesn't get it. Like truly, emotional intelligence is not his bag. Like, it's not his thing. So Hannah, I feel, is going to just waste so much of her beautiful energy teaching this man child how to be a man. And I don't think he's going to catch on. I don't think this is my bet on that. I never liked Nick. I still don't like Nick. And I feel like Hannah's going to have to learn the hard way, go through this whole journey. But yeah, I'm not feeling them at all. Now, you're probably listening and like, oh, what the hell? Where are the successful couples? My favorite is Garrett and Taylor. Hello. They're so freaking cute. Like, first of all, I love nerds. Like, I just love nerds, and they're just so cute. Like, he's a physicist. She has like this little tattoo of a molecule, something like that. They're just really smart. They're very like just mature and emotionally mature too. But something comes up where I feel like it's a legitimate concern, where she was saying, hey, to someone else, not to him, like he hasn't had a relationship for 7 years. That is a bit of a red flag. And I'm wondering, has she asked him why? Like, you have to probe. When someone tells you something like that, you want to ask, like, what's going on there? Like, why? Why haven't you had a relationship? So I don't know the answer to that, because they never had that conversation together on the show that I saw. And so and also Taylor says everything's great and Garrett's like all in, but then Taylor says like, yeah, the actions have to, I'm all about actions, not just what you say. And it's true, you guys. Listen, anyone can tell you anything, and this is why I'm so about not getting swept away when a guy tells you, oh my God, you're everything I wanted, and oh my God, I can't wait, la la la. Like, I don't want you to be like, okay, now we're going to sleep together, or rush into the physical. I want you to see how their actions align with their words, and that requires time. So I agree with Taylor saying, hey, I want to see how your actions align, right? We can't see that yet because they're on a honeymoon, right? And so this is where I think, and I said this before, but I feel like they need to go into real life first before they go on the honeymoon, because the honeymoon puts on so much pressure for sex and everything is so perfect. And so everyone's hooking up because they're attracted, they're in love, they're like, oh my gosh, they're swept away. But then when you have sex, you get more attached, and then it's harder to say bye to the person when they're not aligned to what you want, right? So anyways, this is where we have to see. Right now, they're all, after these 6 episodes that you watch, right now, then they're going to go into the real world and see, okay, Garrett, how are you going to show up for Taylor? Are you full of shit? Or are you truly actions are going to align? And that's what we have to see for all of them. Okay, we got to talk about a couple more couples because they're so good, and we have to unpack it. Okay, Tyler and Ashley, stop. I love them. I absolutely love them. And you know what I love the most about them? And I think that this is also very true for Will and I, is that they pray together. They have that's one of their very core values is their faith, and they pray together, and they really have so much gratitude also. And so Will and I are the same way. We didn't actually when we met, he was agnostic and I was Christian. But his family was, he grew up Christian, and at the time he was kind of uncertain, but he was so curious and respectful. So either way, Will and I throughout our journey, it's not like my intention was I need to make him Christian. I wasn't like that, but he's always so curious and he always respected everything. And he's the one that wanted to get married in the church. Either way, we pray, and every day it's like one of our things that's very important for us and our kids, right? If that is something that's important for you guys, so important you say that from this beginning, from the start of who you are. And that's something that I love about Tyler and Ashley, that they've said that from the very beginning in the pods. And they prayed while they're in the pods, or they're so freaking cute. Like they ate together and he said a prayer for the meal. I just love them. I truly do. You know who I don't love? You guys, Alex and Tim. Oh my gosh, like red flags. And I want you guys, maybe you're hearing this, you're like, oh really? I kind of like them. No, that shit is going down. It is going down in flames. First of all, I love that Tim shared about his sisters, and that was so sweet and awesome. I love that he was so vulnerable, and that's something that I noticed with a lot of the people on the show and the guys on the show. They're so vulnerable, and and how they express how feeling safe is so important to them. And this is what I'm about, you guys. That I always say, it's all about crazy love or nothing. And crazy not meaning toxic. It's a love where you can be completely real and authentically, zenfully you. Okay. And so I love that they say this, but what is the freaking red flag with Tim? He's like poking fun. He likes to push buttons and freaking irritate the shit out of you. And there's like a line. I really feel like there's a line that people need to understand. Will is the same way, like, well, not the same way, actually, he's nothing like Tim, but Will likes to joke around. And I remember we had this conversation when we first were dating. He was joking around at my expense kind of thing, and I said, hey, that's like, I like joking around, but that's a little bit like getting annoying, like honestly kind of irritating me. And he's like, well, wait a second. And he literally said this. He's like, wait, but I like to joke around. I'm like, no, and I'm totally down for that. And I like to joke around with you too, but there's like a line. And then I just don't want it to get annoying. And he's like, no, I totally get it. And he listened, understood. His priority was me and my happiness. And he's like, I'm not going to keep doing it. What does Tim do? Tim, oh, this is bothering you? Perfect. And he keeps going, keeps irritating, keeps poking her. And it's like, you're an idiot, Tim. Like, he just seems so immature. Like, this is a lack of emotional maturity. And of course, shit hits the fan with them. You could tell when the whole group is all together, you could tell that like Tim and this girl, Alex, are not feeling it. Like, they're not totally aligned, right? They're not really excited. And then we don't know what happens at like late at night because there's no cameras, but in the morning Tim comes back into the room and is like, what happened? It looks like basically Alex, she lost her shit on him because he was annoying as fuck. And I'm like, okay, what? And then she did put her hands on his mouth to shut up. It sounds like they had a really bad fight and they lacked respect for each other and probably don't have good communication skills. Probably alcohol was involved and they lost their shit. So right now they're like on the brink of breaking up. And he said, I came here with the intention of like, this is the last conversation we're going to have, which honestly, I can respect him for that. Like, he is like, I'm not one to get into some crazy arguments. And that's toxic. He didn't say toxic, but it is, obviously it is. And he's like, I'm not going to be in a relationship like that. I'm not going to settle for that. I deserve more than that. I agree with him 100%. So like, Alex is trying to explain why she lost her shit. And so this is where I feel like, communication is so important. You might find the perfect partner, but it's so important the way that you show up and the way you communicate, the way you respect each other. You may be used to toxic shit. I think like Alex might very well be used to toxic arguments and disrespect. And so now like she's, with a guy, he is immature and he pokes fun, but like maybe the way that she communicated that to him, maybe she hasn't been clear, or maybe that night, the way that she approached or reacted to him, she just lost her shit. And she said, I'm short-tempered. She literally said that earlier. I have a short temper. I feel like she just needs to, learn a lot. And the sad thing is that I feel like there's good things about them, but if you don't have that maturity or the emotional intelligence, if you don't know, hey, what kind of relationship is possible for me? I've never had that. How do I show up as the best, healthiest partner? I think that Alex needs to do that. Alex needs to get there, and Tim also, both of them. So what's going to happen now? I don't know. Like, seriously, I feel like if I had to bet on it, they're not getting married. They're not. I think things are going to get worse. I think they still have work to do. And, understand, you guys, when I found Will, it wasn't like, oh, I have work to do, I don't know how to communicate. No. Like, you need to do the inner work, heal your shit, and realize I am... like I take responsibility for the shitty love life that you had, and know your part and say, what can I do better? And so I think that Alex maybe is not doing that. I don't know if she can do that. Who knows? But they're both in it, and it feels like Mayday, abort time. So and then we have to talk. Stop. Wait, you guys. We cannot forget Marissa and Ramsay. I love them. And I'm actually surprised. It was interesting because when I first saw Ramsay, he has like 2 braids coming out of his hair. He looks very like bohemian. So I like that he speaks Spanish. So he might be Latino. I'm not sure. But I liked Bowden and Marissa together because Bowden was from Ukraine, and he went to, and he was like I think he was adopted. And so he went to Ukraine to fight in the war, and I'm like, oh my gosh, shut up. I love him for that. He just seemed like a really good guy. Like, I feel like he needs to find love somewhere. Like, he's just such a great guy. And so I thought Marissa was gonna go with him, but Marissa ended up going with Ramsay instead. And it was so interesting, you guys, because she says, oh my God, Ramsay, what's your sign? And Leo, Scorpio, some shit like that. And she gets so excited. So I'm like, I hope that Marissa didn't put too much importance on that whole, like, what's your sign thing and what's your moon sign and the rising sign. I wouldn't put so much importance on that, but I love them together. Like, when you see them and the way they talk, the way that they have so much chemistry, they cannot take their hands off of each other. I adore it. I love it. I'm here for it. That's how it should be. It should be like crazy. Like, I'm so drawn to you. I can't take my hands off of you. And so, like, they're just so freaking precious. I love them. They're going to get married. I see it. Yes, it has to happen. And then the last one is Steven and Monica. And I love them too. Stop. Like, Monica is knockout gorgeous. Steven's adorable. And I love, this is the last thing I'm going to say, you guys, is that one of the best takeaways too from Monica is that she's like, I had this thing in my head. She's 36. And in her head, she's like, the guy has to have some like really, high profile, or like, some badass job, like really impressive. And this is when you think about surface level bullshit. Like, that is surface level bullshit. And she realized, oh my God, this guy, Steven, who's the best person I ever met in my life, she says, is an electrician. And she's like, I can't, to me, and this is something that I want you to hear and take away from this episode, okay, is that the electrician, if he's happy, if he is financially secure, if he has his shit together, that's perfect. Right. And he makes her a priority, and he will. So, like, I love that he has that emotional intelligence, that he says, I'm very much in the moment, but I love that you plan things, and I want to hear your plans, and I'm here for it. So what I want to see now that they're leaving, okay, because I love what he says, I'm curious to see, okay, Steven, how are we showing up in real life? Or I hope he doesn't like become some loser where he doesn't actually do what he says he's going to do. So only time will tell. The next episodes are going to be very telling. You guys, so good. This season is so good. So when you start watching and you want to give up the Leo, keep watching. It gets so much better. I will see you guys next time and tell you, and let me know in the YouTube comments, please. Are you feeling what I'm feeling? Are you like agreeing with this, or is there someone that you love or you hate? Who do you think is going to get married? Who do you think is going to make it or not? I want to hear from you guys. Thank you again so much for listening. And remember, it has to be crazy love or nothing.